Hey, hey, glad you're here today. Did you happen to catch the Grammys? Yeah. Me neither. That was once a very anticipated show, and it's devolved into a desperate attempt to be relevant. But what does it mean? Take, for example, Sam Smith, LARPing as Satan in his latest performance. It's like the Grammys are trying to push the boundaries of what's acceptable, but to me, it just reeks of desperation and cringe. Now, apparently, being shocking and avant garde means riling up conservatives, but staying within the parameters of what's acceptable in Hollywood. If someone really wanted to be outrageous, they may mention the show's sponsor, Pfizer, had to pay the largest criminal fine in history, $1.3 billion. Imagine the audience reaction to that. Yeah. Let's be real, folks. The Grammys, it's just a bunch of people patting themselves on the back for being shocking and provocative. It's like they're trying to say, look at me, I'm edgy. Oh, you know what they say? There's no such thing as bad publicity unless you're a celebrity desperately seeking attention. Then it's just a sad, never-ending search for validation. And let's not forget the music being pushed by the Grammys. It just sucks. It's like they've forgotten what music's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about expression, creativity, and emotion. But be honest, were any of the songs of the Grammy this year the best work of those artists? If your nominated song isn't even in the top 5 of your own catalog, why should anyone think it's the best? These awards are supposed to celebrate greatness in the art of music, but in reality, it's the celebration of the business of music. And who wants to listen to that? My name is Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show right now, live. Flame on. Hey, good to be here. We got a couple people. That's awesome. I will assume that the stream is fantastic. I've taken it down to a very low bit rate, and supposedly it should be working. So we'll just have to see. Cross our fingers. But let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Got some fun stories. Talking about some Grammy cringe. Turns out, no recession. Absolutely no recession. Trans surfers. Interesting story on that. Talk about Oregon and death tourism. And lastly, some good news. I want to talk about pink dolphins. If you've never heard of that, I think you're going to find it pretty cool. Pretty cool. But first, let's talk about the Grammys. Let's talk about the Cringe Fest from Sunday night. Sam Smith and Kim Petras performed their song Unholy during the 65th Grammy Awards dressed in blood red, devil-like costumes. The performance was followed by a Pfizer ad, which triggered outrage among some Twitter users, calling it satanic. The performance and sponsorship received criticism from conservative politicians and Twitter users who felt that Hollywood and Pfizer deserve each other. Petras, who is transgender, won the award for Best Pop Group Performance for a song. And so, did you see it? I don't know if anyone actually saw it. Did anyone watch it? We watch clips of it. That's what we do now. We just watch clips of things. It seemed to be smooth. Okay, we just watch clips of the Grammys. Nobody really cares anymore. But the thing is, if you were to ask a teenager what they think of the Grammys, they would probably think of what I thought of it when I was a kid. The people that were on it were not very cool, that they didn't recognize what was actually good music. And I don't think that that's really ever changed in the Grammys. Like I said in the opening, it's just a celebration of the business of the music business, essentially. But when I see these desperate attempts like Sam Smith, I feel embarrassed. It's so bad. It's so bad that somehow, I understand, you're trolling to get a reaction. But is trolling like that, is that an art? Because I've seen some really good trolling. I think 4chan could do a fantastic Grammys performance. But that'll never happen. And when I looked at the songs that won, were there really any good songs last year? I do dance fitness, so I'm always on the lookout for new songs. There were a few that I enjoyed, none really that were up for any awards. But I don't know. I don't have much to say about this because I guess it's not that important to me. The Grammys have never been important to me. I think, yeah, that's all. Next topic. Let's get to something a little bit more interesting. Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary, says the economy is strong and resilient. Yeah. And there won't be a recession despite America's economic concerns. Yellen mentioned the low unemployment rate and recent job growth as reasons for a strong economy, but acknowledged that the COVID pandemic and increased food and energy prices have led to inflation concerns. Yellen also said the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act, which reduces the deficit and strengthens the economy. I can't read this. This is BS. Is lowering costs for Americans. Yellen stressed the importance of raising the debt limit to avoid an economic and financial catastrophe, which should not be negotiable. Well, it should be negotiable. Anything should be negotiable. But this is one of the tricks that they do is, okay, so technically it's not a recession because a recession is a period of economic decline characterized by a decrease in the GNP, employment, and trade for at least 2 consecutive quarters. Well, see, we just had that already. We were in a recession from February 2020 to mid-2021. So you already went down so far that right now all the markers aren't going down further than they were. So technically it's not a recession. But I don't know about you. Everything got really expensive. And I don't believe these employment numbers anyway. That's one of the tricks that the government uses with employment numbers. They only count people that tell them that they're not looking for work. Okay? Yeah. I know that doesn't make sense. So if you're getting unemployment, right, you have to report that you're getting unemployment. You report every week or whatever. But when you no longer get unemployment anymore, if it runs out, the only way that the government would record you being unemployed is if you were to call the unemployment office and say, hey, even though I'm not getting unemployment, I'm still unemployed. How many people do you think are doing that? Yeah, it's really dumb. These numbers are really fudged, but I understand why the Treasury Secretary would make a big deal about this right now, because we have tonight the State of the Union. And what do you think? What do you think Joe Biden's going to say about the State of the Union? You think it's going to be good? You think it's going to be strong? What do you suspect he will say? Of course he's going to say that. That's what they always say. It doesn't matter how bad things are. they're going to tell you that things are good. But I don't think that most people would agree. Now, there's a lot of criticisms for what Janet Yellen was saying. She's really given an incomplete picture for what's going on. Low unemployment rates and job growth, that doesn't really show the overall economic situation, okay? We don't really know the long-term effects of the pandemic. Now, the economy has recovered a little bit, after the initial shock, but the long-term effects that it's had on industries and communities, there could be a huge slowdown for a long time into the future. And despite her optimism, right, the increase in consumer prices is unreal. I've never seen it like this in my lifetime. They claim the inflation's only gone up. Oh, it's only up 7% or whatever. Nonsense. It's absolute BS. I used to be able to afford, I only get like grass-fed meat and everything. I used to be able, I could just get a nice steak, and that would be within my budget. Steak and broccoli and rice and, just a salad. And that was, grass-fed organic beef. That used to be within my budget. Just on a Tuesday for dinner. And now, I wouldn't say the price is almost doubled, but it seems that it's up at least 50% if you've been to the butcher store recently. So I don't buy it, and this whole Inflation Reduction Act, that's just Orwellian language. They just printed a lot more money, and if you print a lot of money, what does that mean to the value of the money that's out there? It means that it's worth a lot less. It's all like economics 101. But the assumption is that you, the American, just the regular American, doesn't understand these things. That's what they're counting on. But if you're watching this show, I'm sure you're smarter than that. But what do you think? Even though we're technically not in a recession, what do you think about the state of the economy now? I would like to know what you think about that. Okay, trans surfers. Seems like this topic is everywhere. Not the surfers, but the trans. Bethany Hamilton, a surfer, she spoke out against the World Surf League's rules for transgender women competing in events. Hamilton stated she would not participate in WSL events if the rule remains, and called for the creation of a new division to provide a fair opportunity for all athletes to showcase their talent. She received support from Olympic gold medalist skier Julia Mancuso and NCAA All-American swimmer Riley Gaines. Now, you probably remember Bethany. She was the surfer that had her arm bitten off by a shark. And she's been wildly popular. But for her to come out about this, it's very dangerous to come out against the narrative. And the thing is, this is something that women are going to have to do. Women have to speak up about women's sports. It's not man's place to do that. That's just the way that it is. It's no matter what I could say, it's really not my place. Now, I know recently that Megan Rapinoe came out and said, oh, trans are going to have no difference in women's sports. But she's trolling you, okay? She's already made her millions of dollars, and she knows where she gets her money. She knows that she gets paid by promoting the most progressive ideas in the media. That's her job. That's why she gets the big contracts. So of course she's going to say that. But she knows that that's not true. The women's national team of the United States gets their ass handed to them by teenagers every time they play. They're 14-year-olds. A group of under 15 boys will play our women's national team and rout them 7-0. Okay? So there's a huge difference between sports abilities for men and women in most sports. Hashtag not all, right? And the people that say that it's no big deal, I guarantee you they don't play sports. They didn't play sports in high school. They didn't play sports as a kid. They don't play sports now. Because anyone that seriously plays sports understands these differences. Yeah, so I think it is brave for her to come out and say these things. I think to protect biologically born women, or whatever you want to say, to protect their sports, they need to speak up. Women need to speak up about this. It's really not a men's place to say anything about it. And I understand that, so I will sit back and get my popcorn and enjoy the show for that. But yeah, she said she's not going to compete, and she won't. And we'll just have to see what will happen. What do you think? Do you think in 10 years from now that this will all be a footnote in history, that at one time there were trans women in women's sports? Do you think that will be just a blip on the radar or something that just happened? Or do you think that this is a done deal and it's going to happen in every sport? I'm not sure which way it will go. But I know which way I would think if I were a woman and I played sports. So that's what I have about that. The next story may sound down, but I think it is a little positive. Let's talk about death tourism. There we go. Oregon is becoming the first death tourism destination in the U.S. as terminally ill patients from states that have been banned assisted. As terminally ill patients from states that have banned assisted suicide travel to the state to obtain drugs to end their lives. At least one clinic in Portland is receiving out-of-state patients who meet the strict requirements of the state's Death with Dignity law. Now, although there is a legal gray area, out-of-state residents must spend at least 15 days in Oregon to process the paperwork and administering the fatal dose themselves. The death tourism industry in Oregon raises legal questions for family members who may help a loved one reach the state, and it's been criticized for devaluing human life and making deadly drugs a solution for the infirm. The state stopped enforcing the residency requirement last March, but no out-of-state residents have yet traveled to use Oregon's Death with Dignity law. So, I understand that people have different opinions about this, but I do believe that, life is sacred, and our life is sacred, but we should be the ones deciding for ourselves what it is. For those people that are terminal and they're in pain and they want to end their life, there should be an alternative for them to do it, like they say, with dignity, to be able to do it in a safe manner. And I think this, obviously nobody wants to do this, right? Obviously, but when your life is ending and you think that it is, you've had a good run, you're in a lot of pain, you've said all your goodbyes, and now it's time to move on. I think that is a good option for people to have. And obviously, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. I know that this is a touchy area, but I would like people to have that option rather than having to do something more drastic. So the fact that Oregon is the only state with that, it is kind of a neat thing. And I do think that that's one of the awesome things about the U.S. is that we have different states that can try different things. And, you can move to a state that you agree with more, move out of a state that you're not into. But to be able to have different laws in different states, I think is one of the things that makes our country great. And I think this Death with Dignity Act is a positive thing for some people. And so I'm glad that it exists. Let me know what you think about that, because I value what you think about that too. But lastly, let's get to some good news, some really good news. All right. There we go. There we go. Pink dolphins. A community dolphin watching project on Colombia's Lake Nair is fostering conservation and supporting local reconciliation and job creation. Tourists come to the lake to see the endangered Amazon river dolphins, Inia geoffronesis, also known as botos, and are charmed by their playful behavior. The dolphins are worth more alive than dead, as they bring in up to $20,000 a year for the local economy through tourism, compared to about $25 a fisherman can get for a dead dolphin. The nascent ecotourism industry has the potential to promote marine conservation, create jobs, educate people. The Amacha Foundation is working to manage the industry and maintain a healthy ecosystem for the dolphins and other species. The foundation stresses the importance of sustainable processes and working with the community to ensure long-term survival of the botos and their habitat. So I think that this is cool. When you go on Instagram, I've made the joke before that every woman in her 30s on Instagram has a post of Machu Picchu in Peru. I've never seen any pink dolphins. Just travel over to Colombia. You can check out some pink dolphins. I think that would be a great thing if you want to promote yourself, show what a fantastic life you're living on social media. I'm not really in favor of that. But if that's your thing, that sounds like a lot of fun. I think that would be a good trip. I've been into looking at Colombia recently, as I went there last year. I didn't even know about the pink dolphins. I missed out. I'm going to have to go back. But have you thought about where you want to go this year? Is there anyone that's going to take a trip this year? Maybe you can check out the pink dolphins and let me know how it is, because that would be really cool. One of the interesting things about doing this program that I'm doing is trying to find a positive story every day. And it's tougher than you think. Now, I'm not trying to make a big deal about having a positive story every day, but just in the back of my mind, I thought, you know what? I should have at least one positive story every day. It's a lot harder than you think to find these stories. It's easy to find the outrageous stories. It's easy to find the stories that everyone is mad about, right? That's simple. Just go to Twitter and just look at a feed. Try to find a positive story. It takes some work. So you can send me any positive stories. I would appreciate that greatly. I'm hoping that this stream turned out better. I will check in with y'all after the outro. But that's all I have for you today. Pink Dolphins and, LARPing Satan at the Grammys. But let me know what you thought of this. And if you've made it this far, you can do it. Let's get 50 likes. Yesterday, I reposted, I actually re-recorded the program and posted that. And combining both of them, we almost got 50 likes. Although I know some of them might have been the same people. So hit me up with a like. I appreciate that. I'm going to check out your comments after the outro, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Peace. Hey, thanks for sticking around, everyone. Looking at this, not a whole lot of people watching today. So it appears that I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this chat is live or not. I guess it is. Apothecary John, what's up? Good to see you. Tobias says, me neither, and that is, not sure what that refers to. I don't know anyone who watches award shows. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't either. I don't know anyone who watches award shows. How is Beyonce electronic music? Why isn't electronic by that standard? What is an electronic? Well, it's electronic because what they're trying to do with Beyonce is give her as many Grammys as possible, and they knew that she wouldn't win in the other categories, so they're like, oh, what category can we put her in so we can give her more wins? So that's pretty much what was going on there. Inflation is great for grocery outlet since nobody can afford to shop anywhere else. I am a regular at grocery outlet. Yeah, I'm there every other day, I think. But they do have some good stuff there as well. Flame on, good show today. I like the positive stories. Yeah, well, that's it. That's all I got. And I still haven't figured out, how to get this computer to be online at the same time. So, but Duggo is over on Rumble. What's up, Duggo? Corporate approved edginess is always cringe. I agree. I 100% agree. If your edginess is approved by corporate sponsors, yeah, not so edgy. Not so edgy at all. And just for kicks, I think that's all I got today. I hope you all are having a wonderful, glorious day. Gross out forever. Anyway, hope you all have an awesome day. That's all I got. And tomorrow, I'll be back with another show. And it looks like the stream works, so perhaps these new settings will work. I'll have to check it out afterwards. But, yeah. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.